Warning: the following video contains strong language which may be offensive to some viewers and/or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Southern Fried Paranormal with Len Dorman featuring Bones. Catch us on Spotify, iHeart, iTunes, Spreaker, Facebook, Stream, and everywhere else you catch your podcasts. And of course, WLFE-DB.com. Now, from the backwoods of southeast Arkansas, right beside the Bayou Bartholomew, the longest bayou on the planet, broadcasting from downtown metropolitan Cane Creek Township, here is your host, Len Dorman.
Good evening, everyone, or if you're watching this as recorded, good whatever time of day it is. It is evening to me. It's 10 o'clock. This is our first late show. Wow. At 10 o'clock at night. And
11 here.
I was about to say, it's on the East Coast. It's 11 there. And, of course, it's only 9 if you're in Colorado. Of course, if you're in L.A., it's just 8 o'clock. So I moved the show for several different reasons. One, 7 o'clock is my supper time, and I was trying to hurry up. You didn't know where to eat a meal, eat a snack, and then come back and eat after 9 o'clock. So my belly was all confused. And so I decided to move it, plus a couple other paranormal friends had paranormal shows coming on where we were running into each other. And it just it's much better having it at the later time. Of course, our guest tonight
is a bad day.
Yeah. Thursday is a popular day for paranormal shows, apparently. I'm bringing, of course, the first late show, I'm bringing somebody from the East Coast, back from my native state of Georgia. I forget what town she was born and raised in, but I was born and raised on Columbus, Georgia, on what we call the West Coast of Georgia. Savannah's on the East Coast. Columbus, being on the Chattahoochee's on the West Coast. Because you throw a rock against.
Born in Atlanta and from Riverdale, Clayton County.
Riverdale, Clayton County. And of course, that's Atlanta area. So we're just going to bring in Courtney Harris right now to start with. And here she is. Got that pretty smiling face. How are you tonight?
I'm all right. How are you?
I am doing peachy. To quote a Georgia phrase.
Yeah.
Of course, South Carolina actually produces more peaches. Of course, the number one cash crop in Georgia is, of course, Jimmy Carter's favorite, peanuts. And some people, like my wife, said that everybody from Georgia is just plain nuts.
Yeah, well, if I was any peachier, I'd be a cobbler.
Well, you're pretty as a peach anyway, Courtney.
Thank you.
I like your Facebook page where you're sitting there, you doing
Yeah, I'm into creative photography.
Okay, I'm just into photographing ghosts. That's all.
Well, I have lots of electronic equipment, but I've never been on a paranormal investigation.
Yes, and you are a thorough rookie in here. I think some of your friends are watching. We have several people watching. I don't know if they're going to appear or not. I did invite them to the show if they wanted to show up.
I'm trying to see the chat comments, but I can't.
So that's over here comments, and nobody's made a comment on Facebook yet, not that's come through here. The Facebook things through StreamYard are kind of strange. Sometimes they come through with no problem whatsoever. I see them immediately. Other times they're delayed. Sometimes I don't see them at all.
Now, I wanted to put the link on my page. Is it the same one you sent me, or is it something else?
To watch the show,
yes,
they can just go to Facebook Live. Now, if we're friends.
Okay.
Chris
so I
is a friend of mine.
On my page.
Yes, you can.
Nah, where can I do that?
And of course, it's available on WLFE YouTube page.
So
It's
this
being
this
broadcast live
link,
there.
I could put this link on my Facebook page.
No, that would bring them into the show.
Okay, what is the link to get in to watch it?
Facebook Live.
Facebook
If they're
Live.
if they're friends of mine, uh, you can tune in Facebook Live and it pops up.
Oh, okay, so I can share it to my page.
Yes, you can share it to your page.
Okay, I'll do that.
If they're friends of
Alright. Okay, I did it.
okay, and that way people can watch the show. Now the link I posted in the other messages, that's just in case some of your friends from that very famous,
Chat
or should I
room.
say infamous chat room, want to come in and join us tonight for a few laughs. Because as I advertised earlier, this is just going to be a seat of the pants show. We're going to have a little fun. It's just the beginning of Women's History Month, which I use as a Women's Appreciation Month. And what I want to tell you and all your friends from said infamous chat room or infamous message board is y'all are really been good about supporting Chris Garcia.
Yep.
Chris Garcia has had a little bit of a hard time lately. I'm not going to get into it, but you know what I'm talking about. And he's got several lady friends that have been supporting him and talking to him when he needed somebody to talk to. And I just want to tell you all that I thank you for that.
Well, you're welcome. We're like a little family in there.
Yes, you are. Boy, my beard's getting too long and crazy.
It's like they'll get on the messenger in the morning, somebody's got a problem or somebody needs help or support, and it's 11:11. Make a wish.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately people hop on video chat. What's wrong? What's wrong? And.
Like you said, it's kind of close to a family, and I'm just very happy that y'all are there for Chris, because occasionally he just needs somebody to talk to.
Yes.
And it's good. I'm really happy for
We
y'all
all
doing
do.
that. I think everybody has issues. Sometimes my wife is having hip issues and lower back issues, and since the 1st of January, she has been restricted to a walker.
You're talking to a woman that had, by choice, 2 knee replacements and a third major knee surgery, all within 13 months of each other. And I chose the 2 knee replacements, the dates. They were both Friday the 13th, and they were exactly 6 months apart. So I went through all of that and within 13 months. And I know about the walkers. I still have all my the bathroom equipment and everything.
Yep.
So
I've had my knees were both replaced, but they were about 4 years apart, 4 years apart.
my 6 months. I was like, bam, bam, get it done.
Well, my left one wasn't quite ready yet. The right one was wore out, and I couldn't walk on it anymore. So I had it replaced in Chicago before I moved down here. And the other one, I was at a paranormal con of all things in Little Rock, and I stood on my feet so long talking to so many people, I came home hoarse and unable to hold myself up part of my left leg. We had it x-rayed, and sometime during a 2-day paracon, I'd worn the cartilage completely out of the left knee, was bone on bone.
I was 42 when I needed mine replaced, and the doctors wouldn't do it. They would not do it. They made me wait until I was bedridden. Both of my knees, by the time I had my surgeries, I was bone on bone, and I was literally bedridden. I couldn't walk, and it was 6 years. 6 years went by. So, 42. My first one was September 2019. My second knee replacement was, let's say, September 13th, 2019. and then March 13th, 2020, and then COVID hit 2 days after I got out of the hospital. And then my third major surgery was 7 months after the second one on October 14th, 2021.
Wow. You've been through it.
Yeah, and now I need a right hip and lower back surgery within the next 10 years.
Wow. The wife may have to have her hip replaced. There may not be anything they can do with her lower back. That just may be something she tolerates the rest of her life. We pretty much decided her working days are over.
Well, my back's caused by a botched epidural when I had my first child.
Ooh,
And now, yeah, now my disc, my lumbar discs are degenerating, and that where they did it. So,
that's not good.
yeah, I can walk though.
Oh, okay.
I have titanium. You have titanium knees too?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have titanium.
Titanium and plastic.
And they had the third surgery, he took out the original meniscus and put in a really thick one, because the reason why I had to have the third one is because somehow my quadricep and the inside of my knee, he said it looked like somebody took a knife and split it down the middle, and then it became detached from my knee replacement, and then 3 ligaments were messed up. So he had to go
Wow.
in and sew the muscle, reattach it, and then he took out the meniscus and put the thick one in to tighten all the ligaments up in the muscle. And now it's like it feels like somebody's in my knee holding a slingshot back, and I can't even tell I have a artificial right knee, but my left knee is like, because of that thick meniscus, it's just he told me I'm not allowed on a ladder anymore, or on any ladders. I can't get on the treadmill. I can't run, and I can't skip or hop, anything like that. Because my left leg moves a lot slower.
Ah,
So
it'd just be dangerous for you on a ladder.
yeah, or any kind of sudden, like even jumping up and down, or you know, stuff like
Well,
that.
I just have to remember, if we were going to paranormal investigation together, attics are out for you.
Well, I went to Debbie's house from chat, and I told her before I left. I met her recently in person, and I told her before I left, I want to go up in your attic. So they pulled the stairs down. Her house was built in 1906, and I just wanted to pop my head up in the attic, and so they pulled the stairs down, and I actually climbed. I climbed all the way up to where I could get my head into the attic, because I just wanted to see if I could feel any energies, and I did, but I didn't go up into the attic because just can't do that. I got stuck in an attic once for an hour by myself.
Ooh,
Uh, but I popped my head up in there, and yes, I felt some energies, but they were good. They weren't anything to worry about.
mm-hmm. You'd probably like it down here more than my wife. Uh, we've been in the Allen house
Oh yeah,
twice.
the Shell oil
Yeah,
man.
she was dating the Shell oil man and committed suicide because he didn't come to see her on Christmas. He stayed with his wife
Yeah, it was
because they were extramarital affair.
yeah.
Liddell
Led,
Allen.
yeah, I think they called her Dell.
Dell.
Yeah, she hid the letters in the attic, and then
Mm-hmm.
the new owner, saw her apparition, and she guided him to where the letters were, and yeah,
Yep.
and
I've been in that house twice. The wife will not go into the attic anymore. She went the first time we went there, she went into the attic. The second time we went there, she said no, and she will not go in there. Liddell actually spoke to me the first time we were there and touched the wife because I was talking to a tour guide and lost track of time. And I said, my poor wife, she's probably waiting for me, but I have no idea where she is in this maze of a house. Because you got several floors and you got the attic. And well, I was speaking to Liddell and she overheard that and we felt her leave. The tour guide looked at me and said, she left. I said, yes, she did. And about that time, Gail said she felt a touch, and a couple of seconds later, Liddell came back, because that last thing I said said, I know Gail's ready to leave. And she came back and said, yep, that, the Gail was ready to leave, and then guided me to where she was. I walked right to her.
Well, we were in chat. Was it last night or the night before? And this has happened way before I joined this chat room, right? There's a particular male in the chat room. My iPad's camera has a tendency to move sometimes, and I always sit in the same place. Well, when I sit in the living room, I have it always in the same place, like when you were on, and then I moved into the bedroom. Well, a long time ago, me and Liz from Scotland were on in the living room. Now I had my iPad on. We were on video, messenger video, and my TV was off, but there was a reflection. And so I'm just sitting there minding my own business, talking, just looking around and talking, but she could see me, right? And she said, Courtney, look at your camera. And I looked over to my iPad, and it wasn't on my face anymore. It moved to behind. It always goes to my left, my left shoulder this way. And she's, but her and her son were talking on messenger video with me, and they were like, there's something walking. What is that door behind you? And the man in the chat room a couple nights ago said the same thing. He was like looking, and he's like, what is that door right there? Does that go to your bedroom? And I was like, no, that goes to my kitchen. And he said, it looks like somebody just walked from in front of a dresser or something. I said, well, that's a dining room, and it's a bunch of boxes stacked up. Well, a long time ago, Liz and her son saw the same thing. And so I was looking at the iPad, my camera moved back on me, and then I looked up, and my TV's right in front of me, and the TV was off. And I have this wooden pillar behind me in my living room, and it's less than a foot and a half away from me behind me. And I looked up, and on my my TV was off, but I could, there was a reflection because of the light. And I looked at the TV screen, and I saw something walk from the dining room towards my bedroom, and I was looking at it, and I could have reached behind me and touched it. But I mean, several people have noticed that my camera moves. Like I could be sitting there when we were chatting, when you were on the chat. A lot of times I'll be sitting there talking, and my camera will just, it goes up, and I'll look over like that, and then in a few seconds later it'll come back down. I don't know. And whenever I
That's
come
weird.
whenever I come into the bedroom with my iPad and get in the bed and lay down, like the night I fell asleep, whenever I sometimes when I lay down in the bed, or when I fold it flat when I go use the bathroom, my camera, when I'm gone, like I've been on the phone with Liz many times on video messenger, and I'll go use the bathroom, and I lay the iPad flat, and or just leave, not even lay it flat, and Liz is like, I come back, and she goes, your iPad keeps moving up to the ceiling. Like, I don't know what it is about it always goes to the fan, and I don't know why,
That's weird.
but I don't
Well,
know.
the theory is that ghosts are basically non-corporal humans.
Yeah, well, they can manipulate electronics, so.
And they are an electrical energy. So if you're made of electrical energy, of course you can manipulate other energy. That's why they can travel through the internet, through microwaves, and whatever the internet, whatever kind of signal the internet's going through, they can travel through it.
Well, that's my biggest intuitive gift, is feeling energies and sometimes reading energies. Like when I say energy, I don't mean running around the house,
Right.
cleaning like a mad woman. I mean like feeling people's. They don't even have to
Right. Of
be
course.
standing in front of me. Like I could feel people that are in another state, and I could like there's a handful of people I can feel 24 hours a day, and there I can also feel deceased energy sometimes.
The what energy?
Deceased.
Oh, deceased. Okay. Gotcha.
Um, so yeah. Usually Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays are my high energy days, and not sometimes on Tuesdays. It's just Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. I don't know what it is. Um, like I can't shut it off at night. And me and Chris have the same problem. We can't shut it off enough to go to sleep because I've had like insomnia since 2003, and it's so hard to shut it off. Just and I keep telling the people in the chat, it's crazy sometimes. It's like Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays, and we'll be in the chat room, and all of a sudden, all my friends start poking me on Facebook at the same time, and I get weird messages from people all the time on Messenger, especially if someone dies that they know, or one of their pets died, or uh, was one guy a couple weeks ago just started. I wasn't even talking to him. He texted me his life story. Just like I say, I'm an energy magnet, and I just get these weird random messages all the time, and they start poking me at the same time. And like today, people were texting me at the same time. It was just it all happens at one time.
Hmm. Now, have you looked up any kind of history? How long have you lived in the place you're living in now?
Since November 5th. It's it's
Have you
it's
looked?
15 years old. It's
Okay.
a it's a newer subdivision. Um, like I said, I like Nvidia went this the a couple nights ago when the male looked at the camera real close and said, "Is that something right there?" And then I pointed. I said, "Do you mean like right here?" And he said, "Yes." I said, "Well, I was just looking at the same thing. I kept seeing a dark not a figure, but a blob, kind of just walking back and forth. Because my camera was moving a couple
Hmm.
times, and like I'll be sitting there watching TV a lot of times, and I have it on mute, the iPad on mute with it, and I'll just be listening, and nobody can hear me, and I'm watching TV, and then I'll just look over, and while I'm watching TV, my camera will move, and I won't even know it until I look over, and I don't know, it just moves when I'm not paying attention, and then when I look over, sometimes it moves up so high you can't even see my face. So when I look over and it's like that, I'll put my hands up in the camera view and it'll come back down. I don't know.
Weird. I have, as you probably heard from me talking to Chris, specifically a couple weeks ago, I have three female visitors here. One of them, Chris described without me telling him that this existed. It was a case that I could not finish. Arkansas is deep inside the Bible Belt, and ghost hunters are frowned upon here. And he was a fan of the Ghost Adventures and the other paranormal shows on TV, and he wanted to see a real paranormal investigation up close. His wife didn't want anything to do with it, and they had a woman, a relative of the woman, was murdered in that house that they still live in, and the ghost is wanting to pass on to the woman that's living there now who killed her. So they're using me as kind of a mediator, or she is. And Krista described the fact that the woman was strangled and she's appearing in the house now and then. She's kind of hanging around here, wanting to talk to me. Although I cannot really help her, I have had no contact with the couple. I I don't even remember their names. A couple of years ago, and I know they lived in McGee, Arkansas, a little bit south of here, south and east of here. But I have no way to get in contact with them, so I'm not exactly sure what to do. The woman's not really doing anything bad; she's kind of hanging around. I have a male walkthrough, obviously a hunter. We can smell his pipe tobacco. We have a period woman. I'm not sure. I've only seen her halfway clear once. She disappeared really quick. I'm not sure if it's Liddell because she's visited here before, or it could be of an old case from Chicago, where I lived for 14 and a half years. And it's a case I was working on up there involving Bachelor's Grove, finding out who the white lady was, which is Amelia Patrick Humphrey. Now, this girl here was wearing a darker dress, and Amelia usually appears in a lighter dress with darker polka dots. Believe it or not, that was a wedding dress in 1863. Kind of a big, fluffy. Yes, it was a lighter. Of course, the photography wasn't exactly black and white. It was kind of yellow back then. It was very beginnings of photography, and you can kind of see through her in the picture, and even in the real picture that was taken back then, the photography was so bad in 1863, since infancy, everything is kind of shades of yellow, not black or white. And it was a lighter colored dress. Don't know if it was white or not. We'll never know that. With large polka dots. Looked like they were 3-4 inches across, covering the dress.
Well,
and that's
I
how she.
know this is a male. I feel it's a male. I don't know why I get male. I can't, visualize a face or anything, but it's definitely male. Um,
But he's definitely intelligent then, right?
yeah, because another crazy, like I'll sometimes, come into the bedroom and video chat, and a few times I've been on video messenger with Liz in Scotland, right? And then I was on my phone one time in here, not my iPad, and I also have a Echo Dot in here, and my iPad was closed and sitting on my nightstand, and I was on my phone, and we were just talking, and one time my iPad just started talking, like I don't even remember what it said, but it was talking. My iPad was talking. And then another time, Liz and I were talking, and the dot started talking. And like one time I mentioned something, and when the dot started talking, it was about what I was talking about, but I didn't say, Alexa, and then I asked it a question. Like I just said Alexa, and now it's responding. But when I was talking to Liz, I didn't say that. I didn't say Alexa, but it just started talking about what I was saying to her. So it's kind of.
Thanks for your feedback.
It was like their electronics were spying on me.
Mm-hmm.
But my camera on my iPad, it moves all the time by itself.
You got to wonder, sometimes we've repeated things here in the house in conversation between Gail and I, and we'll have ads pop up instantly. We have not done. We've not done an internet search. We've not discussed it with anyone on the internet. We just discussed it amongst ourselves, and nobody in the house but me and her. And all of a sudden, here's pop-ups of ads.
That's what happened with the Google, with the dot. We were talking about something. I don't even remember what it was, and it started talking about what we were talking about. But that when the iPad started talking, I don't even remember what it was saying, but I don't think an iPad has the capability to say Alexa and ask it a question. But my iPad just started talking, and I don't even remember what it was talking about. Like, why would my iPad start talking? Just you doesn't iPad doesn't normally talk, does it?
Not that I know. I've never had one. My phone and pad are Android.
Well, my phone and my are Apple, but I have never heard. I had a second generation. Now I have a 13 iPad, and I have never heard an iPad just start talking.
I've never heard of that. But again, I don't have one, so I have no personal experience with something like that.
But yeah, in the chat room we learn from each other. Like the other night, he introduced a new person, and he did a. I had my microphone on mute for I don't know 20 minutes or so. I was just listening and glancing at the iPad, watching TV, not saying anything, and I had it on mute. And the man he introduced said, "What is the blonde woman's name?" And I'm the only blonde in there. And so I unmuted. And I told him my name, and he said he started reading me, and he said I looked like an angel and all this other stuff, and he was getting everything right. And then the strange thing is, that's one of my gifts is sometimes I can do that too, but I don't know how to control everything, and I can't use it when I want to. But it was weird. He read me, and then I was sitting there, and Chris was, they were all listening, and I started saying a few things to him, picking up some things about him, specific things, and it was just like he read me, and then I read him a few, not as extensively as he did me, but he did, and then um, Liz, I picked up a couple times, or one time I was talking to her, and out of the blue, we were just talking, and I brought up two things from. She's elderly, and I brought up two things from her. She was very very young, um, and she confirmed it. I asked her two questions, and she said yes to both, and it's just yeah. I can I guess you call it, I don't know, reading energies. And but I told the man that read me, he said when he said I was an angel and all that, and I said yes, I've been told I'm an earth angel. I've been told that twice actually, that I'm an earth angel. And I had COVID. I caught a back in December. I caught I don't know, a strain of COVID, and normally people these days only last 5 or 6 days. Well, I was sick for like 22 days.
Wow.
Yeah, I went to the emergency room. They wouldn't admit me because I didn't need to be on a ventilator. But I don't know why I'm still here because there's 3 days that I don't remember. I don't have any memory of, except I remember the first night I went to bed, and I remember thinking I'm not going to wake up when I go to sleep. And I looked at my mom's picture. My mom passed in 2015. And I looked at her picture, and I could hear her talking in my head. And she said, "The world's not finished with you yet, and it's not time for your light to burn out." And I had one foot in the physical world, and one foot I was with her, and it was weird. I could, like, my physical body was here, but mentally I was there. And my mom sent me back, and the 3 days that I don't remember, my son and my father had to fill in, and I don't even remember talking to him on the phone. And the only reason I knew is because of my phone log. And so I called them after those 3 days and I asked them what I said, and they told me everything I said. And actually, I had lost my voice. I was whispering. Um, so yeah, it was very strange. Like, I don't know why I'm here. I don't know why I survived. And if I ever catch it again, I don't know. I don't know if I can could go through that again because it just it hit me hard. And actually, my son had it at the same time I did, and this is the second time he's had it. And they were him and his girlfriend. She's a registered nurse. They were only sick for 5 days, but for some reason, 22 days for me, and it just I shouldn't be here. I don't know why I shouldn't be here.
Well,
I was
I'm glad you stuck around.
yeah, me too.
You're still in this world. You have what? 2 kids?
3,
3? How old are they?
26, 24, and 22.
Okay.
One of them,
Are they living?
they live in South Carolina. The youngest one, she was born on February 29th, 2000. So she only has a birthday every 4 years. So technically, she'll be 18 in 2072.
Hey, she can't be drinking till she's 21.
Yeah, we kept telling her, stay away from boys and men because you're not legally 18 until
Yeah.
2072.
Yeah, you're not legal yet.
Yeah, my son's 26. He's the oldest. He's a computer engineer. My middle one is 24, and the youngest one just turned 22.
What do they do for a living?
Well, my son's a computer engineer, and he also can build. He was building computers when he was 13. Um, he also knows a lot about IT, information technology. He codes. He's a computer engineer.
Right.
My older daughter, my middle child, is she works for Continental Tire in the human resources department, and she actually got that job in high school when they did the job search thing, and they picked like 5 people and they were interviewed and they only picked 2 to hire, and she's been there since she was 16. And then my younger daughter, she graduated from high school when she was 17, and she got a bachelor of science in business administration with an emphasis on accounting, but she did it in 2.5 years, and she got cum laude honors. So she
Good.
graduated from college when she was 20.
So you have 3 smart children.
Yes, I get it from my dad. My dad's he's 79, and he still has his active civil engineering license.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
I
you've
get.
got looks and brains.
Yeah, my dad. I didn't go to college. I stayed home and raised kids. Never went to college. My dad is like, out of all, he's got 5 kids, and he's like, out of all my children, 3 of them are triplets, and he said, uh, they were in the Guinness Book of World Records up until 2010. And he said, out of all my kids, I wish you were the one that had gone to college because he said I had the most potential brain wise. So I get my smarts from him, and then my looks from my mom.
Well, the combo is still working well.
What?
I said the combo is still working well.
Oh yeah. My mom was 5'11".
Wow. How tall are you?
Yeah, 5'7". My dad is weird. My mom was 5'11". My dad is 6'3", and I'm 5'7". My son is 6. He's well, actually, my dad's like, I don't know, 6'3", I think, but he shrank a couple of inches. But now my
Hmm.
son's taller than him, and both of my daughters are like 2 inches taller than me. So
Wow.
I think it skipped. I don't know. My older sister is shorter than I am, so I think it skipped a generation.
You got a basketball team
I don't
for
know.
Harvard.
Yeah.
So, what's it like? How if you're born and raised in Georgia, right?
Mm, I spent half of my life. I spent most of my life back and forth between Georgia and South Carolina, because my parents
Okay.
got divorced when I was very young, and I went back and forth between the two states.
Okay.
Um,
Have you ever been to any of the Civil War battlefields in Georgia?
mm-mm. I've never
You,
done any ghost hunting. I want to, but I just haven't.
you've got a ton of places right there around Atlanta. You got
Yeah,
the, of
no,
course,
I
the
got a,
Battle of
a
Atlanta. You got the battlefields there. You've got the Indian Mountains just north of Atlanta, and
I got a
you
book
have.
called Spooky Georgia,
Mhm.
and it lists all the places in Georgia that are, you know, haunted. I got it at Cracker Barrel.
Okay, of all places. But there's a lot of places you could go to. Just don't just if there's any fee at all, just pay it and go walking around. Somebody that's a feeler like you could. There's no telling what you'd feel on a Civil War battlefield.
Well, I see things too. I think I don't know, 11 or 12. My stepmother's dad died, and not a week. I don't know. It wasn't even a week. Maybe 3 days, 4 days after he died. Uh, I saw him twice. Well, one, I saw his face in the window. The kitchen window when I was washing dishes at night one night. I saw his face like right there, like he was looking in. And then the other one was her. I was on the upper floor. My bedroom was right above theirs, and one, I don't know. It was 4 days after he died. He had a heart attack. He died suddenly, and he was young. He was in his early 60s. Um, I woke up and I remember I saw this white, very bright white, not an apparition, not a mist. It was like a very, how do you, a ripply energy, and it was just right there next to my bed, and that was the first time I'd ever seen anything. And I remember I took off to the other side of the house on the top floor, because my sister had a bedroom across the other side of the house, and I took off. The strange thing is, after I saw the whatever it was, it disappeared, and then I just was like frozen, and I was like laying in the bed, and I was kind of had the covers up to here, and it was very quiet, and I could hear it was carpeted in my room, but I could hear footsteps on the carpet, and that's when I jumped up out of the bed and I just ran to the other side of the house, and I flung her door open. I jumped in the bed, and she's like, I scared the hell out of her. She's like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" I said, "I just saw something in my room, and I heard footsteps, and I don't know. I don't know if she believed me or not, but scared the bejesus out of me." But now I don't.
Yeah.
Nothing. I don't get scared easily now. Nothing really scares me. It takes a lot to scare
Yeah.
me. So
Some people have asked me what spooks me, or when was the last time I was really spooked. I can't remember the last time I was really spooked. Now I've been a little bit nervous and a little bit shook up because I thought somebody of the living was around me, maybe causing issues.
Well,
But as
that
far
kind of
as
stuff
being,
doesn't. I'm not afraid of that. Like when I saw that thing walk behind me in the TV, I didn't
yeah,
freak out. Nothing. The
the
woods
ghost.
scare me at night. The woods.
Uh, I used to live. Well, I live in the woods now. You probably wouldn't like it where I live. I've got 8 acres of forest land right beside me. On one side, I have a pretty good line of trees between me and the other neighbor on the other side. And the neighbor, a new neighbor, hadn't moved in yet because this house is still just staked out. He hadn't even got a foundation built yet. But he cleared all the land. He cleared over 20 acres behind me. Now, I'm not sure if he's going to grow flowers or raise horses or raise cattle. I'm not sure what I'm going to be next to. But there used to be about 25 acres of woods behind our lot, and they're all clear now. So I'm not sure if you'd have liked it here past 6 months ago, because that just got cleared this past winter, fall and
But
winter.
I like metal detecting, so big
Uh,
fields are like a dream.
mm-hmm. You probably metal detecting over there would be interesting, and if I had a metal detector, I could probably go over there. He cuts down trees on the West Coast, and moving in, he probably, as long as I'm not stealing the lumber from his new house, he probably wouldn't care. But I don't have a metal detector. What would be interesting is to go over there or on my lot and shuffle around, because we live on a hill. It's kind of a ridge. It's kind of just a line of hills, the peak of which in this ridge is about 40, 50 feet behind me in the center of our lot, and kind of goes in a straight line over to where he's kind of behind where he's building his house. And you heard the intro earlier about the Bartholomew Bayou, or both Bayou Bartholomew, whichever way you want to phrase that. Some people say, like I was raised on the Chattahoochee River. Other people say I was raised on the River Chattahoochee. So, bayous are the same way. But the Bartholomew was formed by rainwater and other groundwater filling up where the Arkansas River had once moved. It used to move around a lot. They've got dams and other things on the river now, so it's kind of hard for it to move. But it used to move a lot, and it had dug a pretty good channel, and then moved about 2,000 years ago. And that old channel filled up with water and became a bayou. And in the bayou is just within easily a mile here, depending on what part you want to go to. We've got a fishing lake backed up with dikes that backed up the bayou and Cane Creek, which filled up the lake. And
Yeah, water is very powerful.
Yes, and there used to be steamships running up and down the bayou. It was that big. Now, we're not talking about the big things you see in New Orleans and Kentucky. We're talking about just one deck and a pilot house on top of it. Very short things. You could just put a few bales of cotton or whatever you're moving around in the bayou. But there were small steamships going up and down the bayou up until about 1910, which pretty well ended that. The railroads kind of ended all that, and it's grown up now. You can't even paddle down it. Although there's some people trying to revamp it. Now, Louisiana has an association. They're trying to clean it up. They're desilting it. They're cutting some of the trees around it so you can't, and building a boat ramp so you can actually get on there with a power boat and go up and down the bayou in Louisiana. And they want to do that here in Arkansas, which would mean I could basically put in down here at the lake, and I could paddle to Pine Bluff if I wanted to, or paddle down halfway down through Louisiana. down where it runs into, I can't even pronounce the name of that river. It's a Cajun name. And I could almost paddle down to New Orleans going that route.
You
But
ever, I don't know why this is, you ever heard a disembodied voice, but not like a soft voice, but like a very strong disembodied voice?
I have heard voices, and one of the ladies that Chris picked up on when he and I talked is a Native American woman, and I was on a Zoom call that we do once a month that with another show that I hang around, and a Saturday night show, and I could hear the flute playing with my headphones on, and then when I took them off like this, I could still hear the flute playing with my naked ears, and I could hear it when I put the headphones back on,
And the
just
reason
as
I
loud.
say,
And I've heard voices uh, without any kind of gear.
yeah,
So yeah,
that's what I'm talking about.
I've had that happen.
I've only had it once happen to me. I was sleeping. I was in a dead sleep, taking a nap in the middle of the day, and the room was very dark. I had darkening curtains, and so it was dark, and I was in a dead sleep, and I sleep with a CPAP machine, and I was laying there, and I remember I was just sleeping, and all of a sudden I heard a woman, like she was right, not even 12, 10 feet away. And she said, I took 2 years of French. She said a French phrase. It was two words, and when she said it, she was yelling like it wasn't a whisper, it wasn't a mumble. She literally yelled, and I sat straight up in the bed and was looking around because that's how loud it was. It was like this. She said, "I encore," and she clapped her hands twice when she said it, and that means keep going or keep doing what you're doing. And I looked because I heard I sat up straight in the bed, and I'm like, I looked to where I thought it was came from. There's nobody there. I took my CPAP off. I got up and I looked in the bathroom. There's nobody there. I looked in the shower and the closet. There's nobody in the room, and I'm just sitting there puzzled.
I
And
bet.
there was nobody. Nobody was home except me and my dog. And so she was like, "I am core," and just and in the same room. That's the only disembodied voice I've ever heard. And in the same room, I had I was sleeping, and I could felt like somebody was staring at me. And I opened my eyes and I looked down at the foot of my bed, and there was a Civil War soldier standing at the foot of where my feet were. And he was talking, but I couldn't hear what he was saying. And he wasn't in color; it was in that sepia, like the antique
Right,
when they used to take the photographs
right.
back in the Civil War. They weren't black and white; they were brownish, like
Yeah,
sepia. It's called
yeah.
sepia.
I guess we should explain what that is for any kind of viewers. But being a photographer myself, yeah, I know what sleepy is.
Well, he was a Confederate. He was a Confederate soldier, and he was looking at me straight in the eyes, and he was talking like mumbling. He was saying words, but I couldn't hear what he was saying. And he actually touched right my right foot on my
Hmm.
toes, and he just I don't know. I remember going back to I just went back to sleep, and I went back to sleep, and he disappeared. Um, I think that's the only the French woman and him and the two when I was younger, and um, the one in my living room, and the one that keeps walking through my kitchen door. I don't know.
All right.
It's not.
Well,
It's not anything negative.
yeah. Well, let's just cut it off right there. because guess what? I got to sell stuff. So I got to run a couple of commercials. We'll be back in about a minute, minute and a half. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So let me crank up the first one, then I'll crank up the second one.
Warning,
And
the
here
following
comes-
video contains strong language which may be offensive to some viewers and or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Rochester Winter Parafest is back, March 25th, 26th, and 27th of 2022. Come say hi to Naked and Afraid celebrities Melanie Elizabeth and Trent Nielsen, Haunted Case Files Jack Kenna, Monster Quest Steve Coles, and more. This event has it all: paranormal investigators, UFO researchers, Bigfoot researchers, and even photo opportunities for the kids with Buddy the Bigfoot. Oh, okay, adults too. Come on down and get a tattoo from Ink Master Tony DeVille. There are psychic gallery and individual readings, as well as radio personalities, authors, jewelry, makeup artists, and so much more. It's only $15 per person, and children under 10 are free. March 25th, 26th, and 27th of 2022. For more information, go to WLFE-DB.com. Yes, Winter Parafest is back. Valley Oak Event Center, Geneseo, New York, next to Denny's.
Try again, buddy. Try again. Yay! Okay. Oh yeah! Good job. Oh.
You've been listening to WLFE-DB.com, where our shows are your shows.
And of course, that's where a couple of places where people can pick up our show is WLFE.com, their main website. Also, the WLFE DB YouTube page. And of course, my own Facebook page. You can pick it up as you did earlier on Facebook Live.
Buddy the Bigfoot.
Buddy the Bigfoot is a fantastic personality. I want to get him on the show sometime, even though he doesn't talk. But I've got a special guest in mind, and I want him to at least appear on the show while I'm interviewing her. If you can imagine me talking to you, and all of a sudden I add a third person, and it's Buddy the Bigfoot.
Have you ever seen, do you know who Sweats is?
Sweats? No.
No, he is hilarious. It's a guy that yeah.
It's the guy who sweats?
No, his name is SWETZ, and he's hilarious. He wears these glasses that they're not glasses, they're novelty. So They're
Goggles?
no, they have the lenses have like pinpointed pupils, and the
Okay.
rest of them are white. Looks like mesh kind of. He's 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 hilarious. But um, I was trying to think.
There's a lot of funny people out and around, and Buddy the Bigfoot's one of those. He's funny without saying a word because he will not talk when he's got that outfit. Of course, who says it's an outfit?
Yeah, I've never seen a Bigfoot, but then again, I don't go out into the woods because
hmm Well, I
well,
live in Bayou area, so theoretically I should have something around here. Got everything else. Before the guy cleared off the woods behind me, we had deer that were born, I think, here on the property, or at least in the woods next door. Uh, we've had wild turkeys. We've had turtles, armadillos, raccoons, just about you name it. Now we've got somebody next door tried to raise some chickens, and guess where the chickens want to hang out? My yard.
well, I used to hunt deer when I was in my early 20s. I actually used to skin. I worked at a deer skinning processing plant. And the reason why I don't like the woods, especially at night, is because one time I was hunting, and it was right, not at sunset, but a little bit after, but it wasn't dark yet, just quite, but you couldn't really see.
Right.
And I was by myself, and I'm trying to remember what I had I don't remember what kind of weapon it was. So I'm walking along, and I was trying to. We agreed on a place to meet, and the sun had already was like almost down. It wasn't quite dark yet, and I'm walking by myself in the woods, and I started hearing this thing. I don't know if it was a bear. I don't know what it was. It was like not growling, but heavy breath, like huh, huh, like just I don't even know how to describe it. And I could hear it walking, and I would walk, and I could hear it, and then I would stop, and it would stop, and then it sounded kind of like a bear exhaling when it's like going side to side and walking, and just you could see the steam coming out when it just uh, like that. I don't know if it was a bear. I don't know what it was, but I
Where
was
were you?
alone. Georgia somewhere. No, yeah, Georgia somewhere. I think Butler,
Have they got
somewhere
bears,
around
or
Butler.
they have bears in Butler?
I don't know, but
I thought
it
you had
was
to
started.
go up into the mountains in Georgia to get hold of some black bears.
I said that's what I said. I don't know what it was because it started getting closer, and I couldn't see anything. And by then was getting dark, and I really couldn't see anything, but I could still hear it, and it was extremely loud when it walked, and it was huffing, and it was getting closer to me. Like I don't know what it was, and it scared the hell out of me, and that's why I don't like to be in the woods, especially at night, unless there's somebody with me, and especially like if there's a bonfire or something. Um, I still don't know what it was, and I was scared
Hmm.
to death, and I had this loaded weapon on my shoulder, and I just I didn't even know where to point it because I couldn't see, and
Right.
just oh. I used
Okay.
to live out.
Hang on a second. Please don't start that again. Last week. Oh no, 2 weeks ago. On the show, I had the paranormal biker girl from
Hmm.
Tennessee on the show, and late in the show, I had something start tapping. I've got a window right here See, there's one,
Oh,
and
I thought you were
to my
talking to
right.
somebody.
Well, it started tapping at the back window. Now, my septic tank is right here, right behind me. So, and so in my gas tank is also right here. And I had to cut down to be able to read the gas in the gas tank, and for the gas guy to be able to get to the tank, and for the people with the septic tank to come in here and drain my septic tank, I got to keep that cleared off. So when I first got the house, it was kind of grown up, and I had to cut down a pretty sizable tree here, and then I cut down some smaller trees. In other words, there's no tree here by this window.
So there wouldn't be any scratching.
There's nothing that can reach that window. And twice, 2 weeks ago, I stopped and just told them, I'm a little bit busy right now. Don't be tapping on the window. And while you were talking, I heard it sounded like a finger tapped the window twice. And I'm on 4 acres of land here. Nobody in this area goes in anybody else's yard during the nighttime. It starts getting a little dark. We don't walk in this is on a hill. You've got little dips in the woods, or on my lot, away from the woods, you have little holes. If you don't have a very bright light, you will turn an ankle. I almost guarantee you trying to walk around at night. And you don't walk on somebody else's property down here at night because everybody's got a gun. And
Well, where I live, the property lines aren't even 10 feet apart where I live.
wow.
The houses are very close. And when I was another time when I was on messenger video with Liz from Scotland, I was sitting by my kitchen, the back window, and the blinds were shut. It was nighttime, and the same thing. I heard on my
Wow.
back window. I know what the source of that was, but I don't want to talk about it. So,
Okay. So you know what I'm talking about then, except that the wife doesn't go outside. She's on a walker now. I hear her coming around the back of the house, and she's not going to roam out there on a walker. Sorry.
yeah.
The neighbor, the back of the house is within about 30, 40 feet of being a dead center of 4 acres of land. So the neighbors would have a long, noisy walk over here, and they're not going to do it. We don't even go front door to front door in this neighborhood. We have
I actually thought
zero
you were
crime.
talking to your wife or somebody.
No. Show you. You see my little studio here, and there's the curtain
Okay.
right there. Oh, there's my co-host.
Yeah, that's what I saw first
Well,
was the skull. I saw the skull first.
yes, got a couple skulls there.
The crystal skull
And
on the left.
no, it's just a very shiny skull. It's plastic. It looks kind of cool. I wish I had a
Yeah,
crystal
my
skull.
daughter bought an amethyst one from an antique shop. It was kind of 4 inches. It wasn't real big. But she bought an antique crystal skull at an antique store. It was about this big, and I kept picking it up and telling her how much I liked it, and she was afraid that I was gonna take it from her, so she hid it from me.
You see what I got on the other side of me here?
I have a ghost from the Stanley Hotel.
Oh wow!
It came from the gift shop. It's made out of foam rubber,
Mm-hmm.
and it says the Stanley Hotel on it. Estes,
Oh,
Colorado.
cool.
It's in my living room, and it came from the actual gift shop at the Stanley Hotel.
Oh wow! So did you go there, or somebody give it to you?
Somebody sent it to me. My neighbor
Oh, cool.
went to a wedding there, and she sent it. She sent it to me.
Cool.
And she knows I've always wanted to go there.
Of course. Who wouldn't? So I don't know who it is, just that occasionally taps on my back window during the show. I know it's not my wife. I know it's not me. And I know it's not any neighbors. because one, I'd hear them because I got another window here on my left that's further off the ground. And then I got the carport where I parked the car, and I'd hear them walking around to the back of the house. And like I said, anybody know better come around at night because with everybody's attitude around here, you starting to tap it on somebody's window, especially after 11 o'clock at night, and you're liable to get shot in the face. It's something you don't do.
You
There
mind
goes
if I
your
use the
camera again.
restroom real quick? No, that's me. Do you mind if I use the restroom real quick?
Oh,
I can't. I'll be right back.
I understand.
Okay, hang
But
on.
now the whole world
Now,
knows where you're going.
well, now pay attention to my camera. If I just watch my camera while I'm gone and see if it does what I tell you it does. But I'll be
Okay.
right back.
All right. All right. Well, we can talk amongst ourselves while Courtney is powdering her nose. Next week's guest, I've not gotten who I'm going to get yet. I've got several people in mind. I know that said Bill Hauser will be on the show sooner or later. I'm trying to get all women for the 5 Thursday shows this month because it is Women's History Month. And as I told Courtney earlier in the show, I'd like to use that as Women's Appreciation Month and have all females on the show. So I've got to strive to get me a couple of female guests for this coming month. Hopefully get some banners made for them and can properly advertise the show. I was kind of hoping we would have more than Courtney on tonight, but everybody's just a little bit gun shy, I guess. Or maybe they're saving themselves for their own show later this month. I'm not sure. If they want to come on the show, they know how to. I'll kick them on here real quick. Anyway, that's what we're going to do with the show later on. It will be at the new time, 11 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Central. I know that kind of interferes with one particular show a little bit, but I wanted to get away from several others that we're talking about maybe doing something where they do their show and then we come on here and do mine. I love to experiment and been experimenting a lot with the internet lately and seeing what we can do. I have realized that ghosts travel back and forth across the internet, and you have to be careful when you watch a paranormal show, especially one where it's a ghost box live. You may actually have some visitors if you're not careful. So anybody who's doing the ghost box live shows might want to get all their listeners to say a little prayer or tell the ghost sorry, you're not welcome here after this. You got to go and kind of cleanse the house themselves. Because you never know when you open up a ghost box, you're practically opening up a portal and you don't know who's going to come through. And anybody can and will travel through the internet, especially if they think they've got a chance to communicate with the living. And you remember, we have one thing they want: we're alive. Now, some of them are just friendly and just want to say hi, but you just need to be careful. And you gotta watch yourself when you're just dealing with an internet show, because you don't know what's going to go on. And this is what I want to do on some of the shows. Is do like I did last week, have an Echo Vox session, and I got several voices over the Echo Vox. And a friend of mine, Bill Hauser, he is a ghost box near expert, as much as expert as ghost box as there is. And he got voices predicting World War III. Another friend of mine who's also an expert with a ghost box, he actually builds them. Rob, he was doing a ghost box session a couple of weeks ago. And this is before the war started over in Ukraine. And we were picking up voices that said bombs, war, shooting, and practically predicting the war in Ukraine.
I'm sorry, I was feeling some nervous energy, so
I understand. I was just talking about some of the things that we've got over the internet that I want to investigate in the next few months, uh, because spirits can travel through the internet, and so some of them now in ghost box sessions, we're getting a lot of bombs, shooting, rockets, the word war. Bill Hauser got a quick EVP off his ghost box that was predicting World War III. So it's I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not trying to make light of a situation or try to get ratings from a situation. I'm just saying what we heard, and
Did my
it's not
camera
just me.
move?
It's others. No,
No. Oh,
I could see your light switch, and I could see where the light switch was, and it never moved off the light switch.
yeah. See, sometimes. Okay, I'm gonna flip my iPad up,
So you see
and
your light switch now is barely in the upper right hand corner. There it is. It's a little bit lower now.
yeah,
But
I'm gonna lay it flat, and this is normally it goes to the ceiling fan for some reason. So I'm gonna flip it up.
okay,
Okay, so I flipped it up, and now I'm not touching it. I don't know if you
okay,
can see my. Okay.
yeah, I can see most of your hands, and I can see one tiny bit of one blade on the ceiling fan.
Yeah,
So it's not.
normally it'll go like that, or it'll, I don't know, it's weird. I don't know how to explain
That's
it.
that's a pretty good flip, but it did not do that. When you left, it was pretty much pointed at the light switch there behind you, and it never moved.
Yeah,
Oh, I could see the light switch. That was a good reference. With a blank wall, it's kind of hard to tell if anything moves or not. But
right.
the way you had the camera set, I could see that light switch, and that's what I was kind of staring at, waiting on something to happen, and nothing ever did.
Okay.
So that's what I was talking about while you were gone. Is some of the other things. There's a lot of paranormal shows out there. I tend to work with several different paranormal shows. The guy on the network says, "Do you have a network show anywhere?" No, I do not have a network show anywhere else but this one.
You know Patty,
But
heard of Patty Negri?
I've heard of him. I don't
She's
know him
sure
personally.
she's been on Ghost Adventures many times. Lives in Hollywood.
Yes.
Uh, she's I take classes from, well, then it was Haunted Diary Paranormal School online,
Okay.
on Facebook, and now it's the University Magicus. And she was actually a teacher of mine. I've had many classes with her, and there's a man that was on the Pasadena Ritual House episode, Richard Lyle Lillard, Ghost Adventures. I know him. He's actually responsible for my what I call my psychic awakening. In January, the first week of January 2021. And then there's the Kennedy Mine episode, Ghost Adventures. George Shopline um, was it starred in that one. There was the person, the Kennedy Mine and the Argonaut Mine. And he's a good friend of mine, Facebook friend of mine. And next year he wants me to come to the Paracon that they had in Las Vegas. Him and his wife went there, and we're good friends on Facebook. And he told me he wants me to come to was it Para-Unity was it Para-Unity? I think it might
There
have been
is
Para-Unity.
a couple of Unity cons
It was
where
in
they.
Las Vegas at the MGM
Yeah,
Grand, that one.
I think there was a Unity con there. Yes.
Yeah, he wants me to come there I think it's in December.
Oh, you ought to. Vegas is an interesting place. Of
Yeah,
course, there's a lot
yeah,
of haunted stuff there. I was lucky enough. The first
Madame
time I went out there,
Tussauds.
I went there in 2002 and stayed at the Riviera.
Opinions. Yeah,
and the
that.
Riviera was definitely haunted. That was no joke. Ghost Adventures went there at least
Yeah,
twice,
they went.
maybe
Yeah,
three
they went there
times.
twice. They went to Binion's,
Hmm.
uh, Madame Tussauds. Trying to think of where else in Las Vegas. Of
They
course,
went
he
to
has his
several
haunted
places.
museum. His haunted
He lives in
museum.
Vegas. Zach Bagans lives in
Yeah,
Vegas, so that's hometown for him.
I have
Uh,
my own. I have my personal Facebook page, but I started another page. It's mine. It's called Ghost Adventures and Supernatural Souls, and because I've been watching. I first started watching Most Haunted from was it England, and then I started watching the original Ghost Hunters, and then they started kind of sort of fading out, and that's when Ghost Adventures came along.
right, and became the hit show in the
Yeah, and
paranormal.
I've watched everything they've ever done, even all the spin-offs, every episode, even the first documentary when at the Goldfield when the boards was thrown, and I've seen all of their stuff, all of his
Mhm.
spin-off shows, everything. So I have
I
my
have
own
never,
Facebook Ghost Adventures fan page and Supernatural Souls.
mm, I've never appeared on the show, although the people in Chicago recommended and gave me their phone, gave them my phone number to call me to see if they wanted me on the show. But my narrative, what I was finding out of Bachelor's Grove, did not fit. It wasn't scary. It didn't fit their narrative, so they didn't want to talk to me. Although I had to run cover for them because the lady who did appear on the show in Chicago in the nightclub, she let out by mistake of when they were going to be at Bachelor's Grove, and that's something you don't do. She had to bring that back in a hurry. Said they're not going to be there that day, and I
Well,
said
the
they're
smart
not
ones
going to
would
be.
show up.
Uh huh. And I come on and said I'm not going to be out there uh, today or tomorrow, but I said next weekend I'll be there giving tours free. If you want to come out, I'll give you a tour for free. And I actually had somebody come out and pick me up. She wanted to go out and had never been there. So she was about had 5 or 6 people with her. And I was happy to meet 2 people, 2 guys there in the cemetery. They were both there. So all of a sudden we just had a crowd and ended up touring the place. And I ended up ghost hunting with both the guys. And the girl that picked me up ended up being with one of the guys, a single one of the other one was married, for several months afterward. And all this came about because of Ghost Adventures. I would never have met these people were it not for Ghost Adventures. So Ghost Adventures actually has touched my life, even though I was not on the show with them. Although the photo that I used to track down who Amelia Humphrey was, and the fact that she's the white lady, of course, was when you look up on Google, use the Google machine, and put in their ghost picture, you see the lady sitting on the stone, the slightly
Hmm.
translucent lady sitting on the stone, and she matches up.
Oh, my phone's going off. Sorry. Ah, okay. I'm sorry.
Tell them I'm busy.
Speaking of cemeteries,
Okay,
Concord,
go ahead.
you know Concordia Cemetery?
Uh,
You remember the Ghost Adventures episode where they did the Halloween special? Dang, sorry. The Halloween episode, the Concordia, they went on
but,
that bus and they went to Goatman's Bridge and all that. The episode where they
mhm,
did Concordia Cemetery and the DeSoto Hotel in Texas, it burned to
okay,
the ground recently. The DeSoto.
really, that's sad.
Yeah, I have it on my page somewhere on my other page, my Ghost Adventures page. I was shocked. Like the thing burned to the ground. I think they said only one room survived. It was in that episode, and it's in San Antonio,
Oh
Texas.
wow. Hmm.
But anyway, I just thought of that when you said cemetery.
Yeah. Uh, I've been spent more time in Bachelor's Grove than most anybody. Uh, that's how I found out that it was Amelia Humphrey, because I compared the real picture of her taken in 1863 with a picture of her taken by Judy Huff in 1992, I believe. The one she was on the second Bachelor's Grove episode was them checking that photographic negative out, and the fact that the white lady was on the negative, so you couldn't manipulate the picture, and that the negative was checked out by experts. And there she is on the negative, you can see her, but the negative has not been manipulated. She got that picture with an old 35 millimeter camera using infrared film. And Amelia, I don't think she appreciated that, so she was making sure she didn't sit on that stone again. And the fact that she reflected a little bit of IR light, she made sure she didn't do that anymore. So IR film or IR lighting won't catch her now. And
Is this a famous picture or just a picture that you took?
though the one that Judy Huff took in 1991
Is that
is
a
an
famous
extreme.
picture?
Yes,
I,
it is
I,
the
I'm,
most.
I'm,
It's the most famous picture, ghost picture ever taken.
is it, if it's the one I'm thinking about, it's like a, not a clearing, but like uh, there's a one picture I remember. I don't know where, I don't remember where it's from, but it's what you're describing. It's a woman sitting on a stone or something like that, and it's like a little clearing, but there's woods all around it, but there's like an opening in the middle, and it's like a, I want to say the one I'm remembering is
Yes,
black and white.
it looks black. It was black and white film, but IR black and white.
And yeah, and there's a one, there's obviously a woman apparition sitting on something, but I think it was at a cemetery,
It was
but
and
there's
it was
woods behind her, and it was like a little clearing in a patch in the woods cleared. It was a cemetery, but you could obviously see there was a woman sitting there,
yes,
and then there was
that's it.
like, is it?
Yes,
Okay.
I found out who that was,
Hmm.
and her child. The reason the Ghost Adventures didn't want me talking about it on their show is because the reason Amelia was appearing in that cemetery was the fact that her firstborn child is buried in that cemetery. She's buried in Orland Park with her husband, her husband's second wife. Now, tell me this is not going to really create stuff. He was a state senator, and once he was voted into office, he had to get a secretary. So he hired a secretary that I think he was probably already having an affair with. Theirs was an arranged marriage. There was no love there. And married in 1863, and she had her firstborn that only lived 11 months and 4 days old. And Orland Park, which her husband founded, John Humphrey founded, did not have the cemetery yet. They were not allowing burials. They had the ground measured out, but they hadn't. We're
Well,
not ready for
then
burials till
women,
1869. And
when you
they
said arranged marriage, the women then, like, that was their duty to,
right,
have kids.
and both of them had money. The Humphreys and the Patricks had money. The Patricks in Bachelor's Grove had the second largest plot, and they were burying all their cousins there. Now Libby May was buried with several cousins because she could not be buried in their the Humphrey plot in Orland Park. They did not accept burials till 1869, and Libby May died in 1865. There's two or three other children that died early, buried with the parents in Orland Park Cemetery. Like I said, his second wife is also buried on the other side of him from Amelia. She was hired as a secretary. He immediately started having an affair with him during his marriage. And after, when Amelia died in 1880 or 1881, you can see both years listed for her date of death. Uh, as soon as she died, 6 months later, he went ahead and married the secretary and moved her
And
into
then
her.
that would have been a scandal.
Oh, it was huge. But we're talking about at the time, he was the most powerful man in Cook County outside the city of Chicago.
You know, I went to middle school with Strom Thurmond's oldest child.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
not his oldest child, Nancy Thurmond. I went to middle school with her. Um, we lived in West Columbia, South Carolina. He had a house on the Saluda River. Um, and yeah, she was. I remember his wife. He married the blonde. I remember her showing up at the middle school a lot, and I remember I met her younger brother too, Strom. Was it Strom Jr.? Um, yeah, but she ended up getting hit by a car. She went to college in Columbia, USC, and she ended up getting hit by a car at the age of, was it 19? Yeah.
Yeah, he was a very powerful man.
Yep.
So you kind of know what I'm talking about. And this was a state senator, not a national senator. He tried, you've heard of the 1893 Columbian Exposition, the World's Fair Chicago had. They told them at the World's Fair when they applied for it, that Chicago wasn't big enough. So what they had to do was they went out to several of the immediate suburbs and talked them into voting in their city, their little town, and becoming a part of the city of Chicago. And that's where a lot of the neighborhoods have proper names because they were all suburbs of Chicago before 1890, 1891, where they brought them into the city. So Chicago became large enough to have a World's Fair and became one of the stars on the flag. The stars on the flag are 2 World's Fairs, the sinking of the Eastland, and of course the Chicago Fire. It's burned down a big, huge section of Chicago. The Eastland was a disaster where a ship got overloaded there on the Chicago River and flipped. And it was a couple years after the Titanic, and more passengers. It was about the same number of people drowned on the Titanic and the Eastland. The only difference is on the Titanic, it was mostly people who worked on the ship. They got most of the passengers off, but the crew, most of the crew died, and that was most of the people who died on the Titanic. The Eastland was the opposite: smaller ship, much smaller crew. So it was people working for Westinghouse.
What is your I was going to ask you, what's your favorite piece of paranormal investigating equipment, electronic?
Electronic, I like to use Echovox because it provides, in theory, kind of one-on-one communication, and it gives partial words, basic sounds. But if you hear a one-word answer, like a yes or no or somebody's name or something, you can kind of say, well, that could be programmed in. We could be hearing something. But I've gotten a lot of complete sentences. Like once on one of the, if you remember the Ghost Adventures episode with Baxter's Grove, they went back into the woods chasing that light. There's several houses back there from the old Baxter's Grove village, and there's one sitting there with a house foundation and a silo foundation. And I was sitting there, hadn't got anything all day. I was about ready to go home when all of a sudden I heard laughter, and a woman's voice said, "What is it?" And he said, "She's wearing a blonde hat."
A blonde hat?
And the girl said, "What?" "She's wearing a blonde hat."
A straw hat?
And then you hear both the woman and the man laughing and then they fade away. Now, back then, when there were people living there, so mostly Germans, they called. They hadn't come up with the word wig yet,
Oh, okay.
and it's something on your head. They just called it a hat. It was a hair piece, but instead of going hair piece or inventing a new word, I don't know where people got the name wig from,
Yeah.
or hair piece. They just said it's okay. It's on the head. It's a hat, and that was the most popular term for a hairpiece back then. In fact, if you remember during the founding fathers' days, they all wore powdered wigs.
Yeah,
And
they
of
were
course,
very
they
hot and
didn't call them
sweaty.
wigs. They said they were just powdered hats. And these people were calling her. It was a young lady. She's of mixed race, and she had her rather curly hair, really cut close. But she also liked to wear a long blonde wig,
The
and
one that I
that's
like,
what they were laughing at.
the one I just saw this episode Wednesday, the Mount Wilson Ranch, Robert Bigelow that used to own it.
Okay.
Robert Bigelow Aerospace. They had a piece of equipment on there, and they were in the saloon. Or was it the saloon or the inn? I can't remember which one it was, which room. Maybe the one where it was electronic, and this is Zach and Billy. I think it was a restaurant. I don't know, a saloon or the restaurant, and they had it on the count of the bar top, and it was a box, and they had a green circle at the top and a red circle at the bottom. And if there was an energy present, you know how they can manipulate electronics. They would ask it a question, and they would tell it to go to green for yes, red for no, or ask it to light up the green or the red. And you could tell if the energy was around it because it actually the screen would pick up the I don't know if it was touching it or putting his finger on it, but they would say, Billy got really caught. I don't remember the name of it, but he asked him, "Are you around me right now?" And then you could see the line, like somebody touched it and drew a line like an etch a sketch, and it would go to green for yes or red for no. And the one where he types in the questions, and is that called the paranormal puck or the where you type in the questions and it
I
comes, it
think
has a
I,
database.
I think that's the puck, as I believe, if I'm
Paranormal
not
puck.
mistaken. I don't use that kind of stuff because it can be manipulated. Now, a lot of people think the Echovox and some ghost boxes are manipulated, but I don't know how to do it. And to be honest, when you cheat like that, you've just reduced all your credibility down to zero.
Yeah, or
And,
the
and the SLS camera with the stick figures, I don't
mm,
care for it because a lot of times you can point it at a chair
yeah,
and it
and
shows
it
a
thinks it
stick
has
figure.
legs. Yeah.
Yeah, and it picks it up. Anything remotely human, it picks up and gives it a figure. So some people use it; they've had success, but a lot of them can be false positives, and they tell you the directions. Don't point it. Try to use it in an empty room, and don't point it at a stack of stuff because even if it's just got
Yeah.
chairs, tables, whatever stacked up, like if you're in the basement of a hotel or something, where they've got just chairs stacked up, it can pick up that stack of chairs as a human.
What do you
So
think about the parabolic microphone, the big plastic? It has headphones,
right
and they
now
pointed at.
that can work because being parabolic like that and having the big scoop and having the microphone pointed at the center of the dish
Hmm.
can pick up a lot of stuff because it just makes it louder. A fainter noise, you can hear it.
Yeah, like when they went
So
to Kay's Cross and they went to the Enchanted Forest amusement park, they used it. Then when they took used it at Kay's Cross, they actually picked up what sounded like a something attacking an animal and like killing it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, at Kay's Cross. I'm trying to remember where Kay's Cross is. Um, Krishnaventa was the guy back from the 1950s. Thought he was Jesus Christ, and he started a cult, and it was called Kay's Cross, the location, and they used that plastic parabolic microphone. And they pointed it at the woods, and they picked up what sounded like something or another animal attacking, like a wild hog or a wild something, because you could hear it squealing, and like it was bitten and it was dying. It was just really just very chilling. Just so yeah, I have like 3 spirit boxes. I have some dowsing rods.
I've used them as
Uh,
well.
Trying to think
Uh,
what else I have.
the
I have
only thing about
a cat with a proximity sensor in it.
the only thing about dowsing rods is people can cheat with those very easily.
Yeah, you just gotta.
You tilt your hands a little bit and you can manipulate the rods. I have also seen and actually have done to where you can stare at the rods and actually move them. If you have a
Like
lot of mental,
telekinesis?
yes, if you have their antennas, they modify and make stronger any kind of signal that's being out there. And if you have a strong-willed mind, and you stare at them long enough and concentrate, you can. If people can sit there and move dividing rod.
That's like looking, uh, what's it called? Scry? Is it called scrying when you stare at a mirror and you look at yourself in the mirror and your vision starts distorting your face,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like that.
Yeah, kind of that. I was. I like to mess with people, and they were sitting there just holding the rods, and I was forcing them out and then closed back and forth, and I validated. I said, okay, the rods are going to get further apart now, and they did. I said, now they're going to close and they're going to cross, and they did. I met a guy at a Paracon. Well, it wasn't so much a Paracon, it's just a paranormal event, and mentally I had a question for him, and I mentally asked the question, and he hesitated for a second, and then went into a long 15-20 minute long answer for that question. Again, I told somebody, I said, I want this question answered, and this is my question. And I'm just going to try to get his attention. And he answered the question, and I never told him the question.
Yeah, it's like you,
Well, we had a hard time passing. It was a smaller place. It was a big kind of a big coffee shop, 2-level coffee shop with a big meeting room up top. And we passed on the stairs 2 or 3 times, and we had a hard time passing on the stairs because it just got busy. He could hear what I was thinking. I could hear what he was thinking, and it's that's not a very pleasant thing to have walking on a staircase passing somebody.
Yeah, I know. I can do that with some people. Not very many, but um, you don't even have to have a conversation with somebody.
Right. So, yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's weird. It's paranormal. It's unexplained. And I did that. I've done that 2 or 3 times with different people, and but it's just that it's unexplained. I'm not saying I'm a psychic. I am not. I have no idea how to do a reading. I'd just be shooting at the dark. But it's also how I know Chris Garcia is the real deal,
Hmm.
because he's told me things like the girl who was strangled when oh no, the one that's appearing in my house.
Oh, okay.
He told me that one of the women coming in her house was strangled. She was murdered, and I had not told him about that case I almost worked on. He also described the road coming to my house to a T.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I remember that.
he has never been here. And I've never described, why should I do that on air, on anybody's show or my own, how to get from the highway to my place. I mean, why would you even do such a thing?
I've actually done I don't know if you want to call it time travel, or I wouldn't say it was astral projection. I think it was time travel. While I was awake and conscious, while I was awake, this happened. But I shut my eyes when most of it was happening, so I wasn't in a meditative state, but I wasn't sleeping, and it just the whole thing just blew my mind.
Yeah, I did that once. Well, one of the guys, the married man that I met at Bachelor's Grove that day I was telling you about, due to Ghost Adventures, I was on another investigation with him. He asked me to come along. It was a private investigation, so I wasn't doing any photography here. But we got talking about the history of the place and what we could pick up. And he took a break. Him and the other guy there. There's three of us, and I sat in there and meditated in their living room. The couple who lived in the apartment were in their bedroom with the door closed. I'm not sure what they were doing. I did not hear them talking. I still don't. I didn't ask what they were doing, but I knew what I was doing. I was meditating, and what I wanted to do was see what had happened in the past, see if I could look into the past of the place. And in my mind's eye, I went back too far. I went back to where the place was being built, and a car. Well, it was an apartment building when the apartment building was being built, and there was the same road was there. It was only a 2-lane back then, but a car went by that had the radio turned up good and loud, and it was Buddy Holly and the Crickets song that was playing on the car radio that was blasting away.
You could date it by the song.
Yes, dated by the song, which was the year that fits that would be played on the radio when the place was built. And I got startled out of my, call it half asleep, meditation, whatever you want to call it, when she opened the door where they were and stuck her head in the room where I was, looked around and closed the door. And I asked her later, I said, why did you come into your living room and open the door and look around and just close the door without saying anything? I was sitting right there. How come you didn't at least speak? She said, well, I heard music and I thought one of y'all was out there playing music. I said, no, the two of them were outside.
So she heard what you heard from the car?
That's my next statement. I asked her what song was playing. She said it was an old band, Buddy Holly or something. I said, Buddy Holly and the Crickets? Yeah, that's who it was. It was Buddy Holly and the Crickets. And I had not told her my experience. But that's who she heard. I was channeling strong enough from the past that a car passing by with the loud music playing, convertible, on the radio, she actually heard in the next room with the door shut. And there was no radio. There was no, I didn't have a ghost box or anything like that going. It was quiet. I was sitting still, and there was no music playing anywhere because that's what she was checking out. Where was this music coming from? She thought I had a radio. For some reason, she thought I had a radio or whatever cranked up in her living room, and she was wanting to know why in the world have I got a radio? But she opened the door, there was no sound.
All right, let's
How
talk
did she?
about bucket. I'm sorry,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. I was just going
Uh,
to ask you bucket list locations where you want to investigate.
oh, that's easy. White House.
White House. I've always said the Biltmore estate, the Biltmore house. I even
I
asked
cannot
them if it was
I
haunted,
cannot
and they were
argue.
like, no.
I cannot argue with that location. That would be fun. What I would like to do is take about a week without the president or anybody else roaming around. They just have a couple of security guards following around, make sure I didn't steal anything. But investigate the White House and would spend the night there or spend the day. I don't. If I'm in a place investigating, I'm not going to sleep at night. I'll go in
Yeah,
there and
me
get
either.
4 or 5 hours shut eye and do a little relaxation while I'm eating. Then I'm up all night. But can you imagine spending 3 nights in the White House, investigating, see if you could talk with Washington or Lincoln? Because
Yeah.
several presidents have said the place is haunted. They've had a queen, they've had Winston Churchill, all have said the White House is haunted.
I
Unknown
would
people,
say,
a large number of people have seen Abraham Lincoln walking around. So
yeah,
that
and
would be just a fun place.
and they've added and added and added, and
Well,
I
the whole
I would
thing
want to go to
was,
the old parts.
yeah. Well, the whole place was hot. Well, they had to rebuild it. The floors were getting bad, and because they had to rebuild it a little bit after the British burned it in 1812. And when they rebuilt it, I think 1814, maybe 1816, when it was finished, they didn't do a whole lot of work to it until the Truman administration, when it became just a dangerous place to be because they were afraid the floors would collapse. So they took everything out of the White House and stripped it to the foundation and stripped it to the walls and to the roof. It was just hollow. It was a hollowed out shell during the Truman administration. They had to live over in the vice president's house for a couple of years while they completely rebuilt the White House to what we see today.
Well, I was going to say Helltown, Ohio, where they did the experiment. Was it a zoo or experiment, someplace where they did experiments? It's called Helltown, Ohio. And
Okay.
then Bishop James Long was one of my teachers when I was taking these classes, and he said there's a place in Kentucky called Hell's Cemetery or Hell's Gate Cemetery.
Yep. That would be a
Uh,
fascinating place to be. I still would rather do the White House, but that would be a good place. I have been to several places that would be on a lot of people's bucket list.
Gilpin's Bridge in Denton, Texas.
Mm-hmm. Because I've
Bonanza
gone some
Island.
in New Orleans, and a lot of people would love to come down to New Orleans. I'd love to get Chris Garcia down there. Can you imagine Chris down in New Orleans?
Yeah,
And him able to say that he is actually and can prove it with writing a relation, a descendant of Marie Laveau.
yeah.
And I'm suspecting that my wife is also related to Marie Laveau. They may be distant cousins if we could, do some tracing that way. Because Marie Laveau is the one that taught me, how to go astral, and also how to fight astral and how to control my dreams. I don't have bad dreams anymore because I realize I'm having a bad dream. I'll either wake myself up, or if I get in some kind of trouble in a dream, I said, okay, I'm in trouble, and can change the dream to where I'm not in trouble anymore.
Yeah, I usually remember my dreams. There's very few times I don't, but I dream in color. I don't
Yeah.
dream in black and white. My deceased pet couple years ago took me to the Rainbow Bridge, the proverbial Rainbow Bridge, uh, right after he died. And if I could draw, I would draw it. It's a very normal place. It's not a rainbow colored bridge. It's a wooden bridge. You're not allowed to touch the animals and all kind of like not exotic animals, but like dogs, cats, horses, anything
Right.
normal, pet turtles, whatever. It's just it's like a I was there with the other owners that were still living, and when you're not allowed to touch your pet, um, there's a bridge that crosses a I don't know if you call it not a river, kind of like resembles a moat around a castle, and then it's a big open field with a bunch of wildflowers and trees on the perimeter, and everything runs free, and it's just if I could draw it, I would, but I can't draw, so um,
I can draw stick
yeah,
figures. That's about it. I'm not very
yeah.
artistic.
Like
But
I can envision it, but I can't draw it.
hmm my hand does not work drawing, and I the part of me that processes music and makes you good at mathematics, that part of the brain does not work on me. I hate doing numbers, even though
So
I have an
I'm right
associate's degree in
brain.
accounting. I don't like numbers, and I'm not musical at all. I cannot even hum a tune.
Well, I'm an Aries, and we use that's one of our biggest. That's what we're most known for is we use visuals either to tell a story or express what we're trying to say, and especially music. And we choose lyrics that, like, I'm really good at picking songs, and uh, I use visuals a lot.
Well,
Um,
Courtney, have you got anything else you want to say in closing? Because it is midnight, my time.
yeah, it's 1 a.m. here.
Yeah. I had to, I got into the habit of getting off pretty quick after 2 hours with the show because there was a show after mine. There is no show after mine now.
Oh, okay.
So in theory, he said, don't worry about it if you run 2, 3, 4 minutes over. But
Well, I could
and
talk
now,
all day long about the paranormal, so
yeah, that's the thing. We could probably sit here and chit chat half the night till we're both nodding off.
you know, like I did. I fell asleep that one night when you were
Yes,
in
you.
there. Uh, uh, I have
I
since
mean,
learned to mute my microphone whenever I lay down in the
uh-huh.
bed.
And there you are sitting there, uh, a, a woman going through a divorce, and
Yeah.
you've got two hot guys, me and Chris, in a chat room, and you're going to sleep.
Well, Chris told me one time he looked like the first time I fell asleep. I wasn't the first time I fell asleep. I wasn't snoring. I don't think, but I learned to mute myself when I get into the bed because I always fall asleep. And Chris told me when I woke up, I was all embarrassed because they said I was snoring. They were yelling at me, trying to get my. Was that the one you were in? They
Uh-huh.
were trying to get my attention, and they just left the room. And I woke up and I was confused, and then I didn't know where I was. There's nobody there, and I don't even remember falling asleep. And I'm like messaging everybody in the room on the messenger, like what happened and what was that? Did I say anything? Was I snoring? That's what I said. Was I snoring? And like, yes, you were snoring. And I'm like, oh my god, I was so embarrassed. And I was like, Chris was like, but you look like a sleeping angel. Like, God, a snoring sleeping angel.
Yeah, that sounds really sexy, doesn't it?
But you gotta understand, sometimes we get in those chat rooms, that chat room, they'll start, one time they started, when I first got in there, it was the third night, they were in there from like 6:30 p.m. Eastern time until 10:30 a.m. the next morning, some of them.
Hmm.
And I've been in there, the longest I've been in there is till 4:15 a.m.
Wow.
Eastern. But like they can go for hours and
Yeah.
hours. Just
Well,
yeah, but I've learned to mute myself whenever I lay down
mhm.
because I know I'm going to fall asleep.
That's why I don't lay down when I'm talking. You see, I'm in a nice, comfortable chair. Now, if I lean my head back like this and slumped over, I could probably go to sleep. But I kind of lean forward. I got chair, got big armrest here. Would you believe I found this chair at a secondhand store for $35? Doesn't have a no, not even threadbare. Looks like it's just been upholstered.
It looks like a wingback chair or something.
Yeah, you can kind of see a little bit of it
It's a
like there. It's got
wingback
the
chair, I think.
yeah, yeah. It's a very comfortable chair.
Well, I'm
Uh,
sitting up in the bed.
okay. Uh, yeah, you start your own show in bed with Courtney.
Oh, God. Don't even.
Your kids would love you for it.
My kids can't. Well, my my kids. One of them's on Facebook. The other two aren't. Um, I'll just say I liven up the chat room.
Oh, by the way, if you want to learn a little bit something about me, go to YouTube sometime. Don't have to do it. Don't do it now, but just remember my name. It's right there on the screen, and Marnie Yang, MarniYang,
I don't have a pen.
Marnie Yang. If you go to
Type it in my
YouTube,
notes.
if you go in there and type in my name and Marnie Yang, you will see several things come up on Marnie, of course, but you will see. You've heard of the show Snapped, haven't you? You ever watched it?
I think I haven't watched it.
Talking about female criminals.
No,
I
I don't. I've never watched that.
I was on Snapped, and I was on True Crime.
I've heard of
That's
that
on
one.
that's on YouTube. The Snapped episode is on YouTube, and the Vengeance, which is a CNN headline show, just like Snapped, I was also on that. Talking about
Well,
Marnie
instead of
Yang.
saying in bed with Courtney, how about conversations with Courtney? That sounds a whole lot better.
PJ conversations with Courtney. Because
I tell you what, I get them rolling in the chat room sometimes, and then they'll start with the GIF wars, in the messenger. It's like who can outdo
yeah,
who can outdo the other, and then and one of the men in there, I won't say which one, he says, "Dang, my phone, bling 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 bling," and all of a sudden there's 40 or 50 GIFs, and he's got to like scroll and keep up with everything.
my wife laughs about it because if I don't have my speakers on all the time, but if I do, even when I don't have a Facebook opened and I don't have a window open, if I'm logged on to the Facebook account, the Microsoft Edge sends the message to the bottom of my screen. It makes a ding noise.
Yeah.
And I'm not even in the room.
Ding 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 ding.
It's constant. And she laughs about it all the time. So your friends are really in there talking.
Yeah, we try to outdo each other. Who has the whatever the subject is? Who can outdo the other?
Yeah.
And then we
all
start.
Right, well, yeah, it's just crazy. That's why I was kind of hoping, and maybe we'll do it another time where we can get 3 or 4 or 5.
Yes,
people
that would be excellent.
in the chat room in here and get them all talking, and it's paranormal comedy is what that'll end up being.
Yeah, when you get a bunch of intuitives, when you get a bunch of intuitives together, and especially like in that, and that would be a great idea, because when you get a bunch of intuitives, it's like everybody knows what the other person is thinking, and you don't have to say anything.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well,
it's very interesting to watch.
We're gonna close it down. Do you want to say where anybody can reach you, or just go to Facebook and look up your name?
Yeah, I'm under Courtney Karras, and I also have a group called Ghost Adventures and Supernatural Souls.
And that's on Facebook too.
Yes.
Okay. All right. We'll leave it there and we'll get out of here. And let's hit the outro, Bones. Want to take it away?
Thanks for watching our show. Be sure to tune in to next week as once again we journey way down south into Bayou Country for another heaping portion of Southern Fried Paranormal with Lynn Dorman and Bones. Make sure to like, share, and follow. Y'all come back now. You hear?